Some stories don't end. They pause. They leave things unresolved. This is one of those stories. The night shift officially began at 11 p.m. That was what the schedule said, what the contract said, what the laminated card clipped to the lanyard said. No one could remember a night when it officially ended. After midnight, the building reduced power automatically. Entire floors dimmed. Certain elevators stopped responding. Doors that had been unlocked during the day returned to their default state. Closed, magnetized, waiting. For most departments, this meant fewer people, quieter corridors. For records processing, it meant the work continued. Evan had been assigned to the shift 3 months earlier. The change followed a restructuring no one explained. His manager called it coverage realignment. Human resources called it operational necessity. The email contained no start date, only a time. 11 p.m. He asked when the assignment would end. The response arrived 2 days later, until further notice. Records processing occupied the lower levels of the building, below public access, below executive offices, below the cafeteria that closed permanently after renovation. The air was cooler there, not cold, just consistently lower, as if the building reserved warmth for areas where people were expected to stay awake. The elevators still worked, only one of them. The others stopped responding after 10:45. Evan learned this on his first night. He watched the call buttons light briefly, then go dark, one by one, until only the far left panel remained. It chimed softly when it arrived. Inside there were no mirrors, only brushed metal walls, a control panel with fewer buttons than necessary. The floor numbers stopped at B6. Evan knew there were more sublevels. When he pressed B6, the doors closed immediately. The ride down was smooth, quiet, too quiet. When the doors opened, the corridor looked the same as always. Low ceiling, off-white walls, industrial carpet worn flat by decades of identical footsteps. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, some brighter than others. The corners stayed dim. At the far end sat the processing room. Rows of desks formed a hollow square around a central intake table. Filing cabinets lined the walls. Evan's desk had not changed. No personalization, no layout changes, no items left behind. A printed notice reminded him, clear desk policy, night operations. At 11 p.m., the shift shifted slightly, barely noticeable. Enough. The shift had begun. At 11:01, the intake tray populated. No sound, no movement. The files simply appeared. Manila folders, typed labels, clipped documents, each stamped pending review. The work followed procedure. Open, confirm, verify, update, route. Most files moved on. Some returned. A few never behaved correctly. The first serious file arrived during Evan's 5th week. It was thicker. Not much, but enough. The label read, Shift Completion Report. That wasn't a valid category. Inside were time logs, access records, system reports, all bearing Evan's name. The dates extended weeks into the future. He closed the folder. When he looked back, it was gone. The intake tray was empty. The clock still read 12 a.m. A soft chime echoed. The elevator. At the end of the corridor, its doors stood open. A new button glowed inside. Shift End. Evan stepped in. The doors closed. The elevator moved. The indicator changed. Processing. Review. Hold. Unresolved. The doors opened onto a floor Evan had never seen. Higher ceiling, warmer light, a steady hum beneath everything. Rows of desks stretched farther than the room allowed, each desk occupied, each worker motionless. Every desk held an open file. Each file bore Evan's name. At the center stood an empty desk, a chair pulled back, a folder waiting. Shift status, active. Inside were annotations in his handwriting, tasks he didn't remember, observations he didn't recall, notes on adaptation. At the bottom, reviewer has accessed termination protocol. When Evan returned to the elevator, the Shift End button was gone, replaced with Pending Review. Back in records, the lights were fully on. The intake tray was full. A new file waited on his desk. Shift Completion Report. The first page listed his start time, 11 p.m. The end time field was blank. The clock still read 12 a.m. The shift continued. It always did. Somewhere in the building, the system logged his compliance. If this story stayed with you, you may find others waiting. Some stories remain unfinished, not because they lack answers, but because the answers were never found. This was one of them.